To Alberta now. At the core of that widespread E. coli outbreak at daycares in the province was a confounding mystery. What was the source of the bacteria that made hundreds of kids so sick? Well, we may be closer to that answer. The Premier of Alberta and the province's Chief Medical Officer of Health provided an update on the outbreak. Dr. Mark Joffe confirmed that it originated in a central kitchen they used. And while the investigation is ongoing, they believe they know the source now.
Based on our investigation, we believe that Meatloaf and vegan loaf meals that were served for lunch on August the 29th most likely contained the E. coli bacteria that led to these infections. Unfortunately, neither of these items could be tested, as they were either eaten or discarded before this outbreak was identified. While we now have a likely source, what we do not know exactly is what was contaminated or how.
CBC's Julia Wong is on this story and has more from Edmonton.
Provincial officials have always said a central kitchen was the likely cause of a widespread E. coli outbreak in Calgary. Now they say they believe a meatloaf and vegan loaf that was served for lunch on August 29th most likely contained the E. coli bacteria that caused these infections. That may provide some relief to parents, but the problem is that officials were not able to test either of those items because they were either eaten or thrown out before this outbreak was identified. They also don't know how those items were contaminated or specifically what was contaminated. This announcement comes after hundreds of interviews with families, daycare workers, kitchen staff, dozens of tests on food items and beverages, and they also checked attendance records, individual meal plans. The E. coli outbreak has caused a lot of concern for parents who say they worry about the safety of sending their children to daycare facilities. The Premier today trying to reassure parents.
The system's safe. There was a problem with this one particular daycare, with this one particular common kitchen, and the investigation, as you heard, was very thorough. It sounds like there are still some questions as to what precisely happened in that kitchen that day that Dr. Joffe is going to continue investigating. But more generally speaking, I think there'll be some lessons that we can learn from creating a framework to ensure that safe food handling practices exist at all facilities that are providing food to parents.
Now, the province is launching an external review panel, and the goal of this panel is to find ways to strengthen legislation and the food inspection processes for businesses serving licensed daycare facilities. Also today, the city of Calgary charged Fueling Minds, which is the catering company at the center of this outbreak that served the daycares affected by this outbreak. The city says that Fueling Minds was serving 5 daycares owned by other operators, not owned by the company itself, and that required a specific City of Calgary business license. Now, if convicted, the company and its directors could face fines of up to $120,000. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.